Channel. Today's video is going to be a review of the Canon G7X Mark II. I've been using this camera for just under a year now, so I thought I would do a review of it. Somebody did request this, but I was wanting to do it anyways. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I like about this and the things that I don't like, and then I'm going to jump into like a close-up view so that I can show you some like the buttons and the features and all the things like that. My favorite thing about this camera definitely has to be the size. It's so small and compact, not as small as my phone, I guess. I have the Samsung S8. So there's a little comparison. I don't know if you can tell very well, but it is so much tinier than the camera that I'm used to vlogging with before I had this one. I have a DSLR, which I'm recording on right now, and this is like, I don't even know, like less than a third of the size. It's probably a third of the size, not including the lens. So this is tiny for me, and it's so awesome to be able to just slip in my pocket or throw in my purse or wherever, you know, or I can just hang on to it and it's not even like that big of a deal. So that's definitely my number one favorite thing about this camera, aside from the fact that the screen goes up, which is kind of an essential thing when you're buying a camera for vlogging. That's sort of the next thing I wanted to talk about, is that the screen does go up. That's obviously a really important thing when you're vlogging. It's kind of handy just all the time anyways, because something that I found super useful that I never thought of before, I never really thought of why this goes out. Like when I was looking at the camera online and looking into it, I always thought it was so weird that the screen didn't just like go up and down like this, but I found this angle to be super useful to be able to adjust the angle that the lens is pointing at if I'm sitting the camera down on a table or something like that, and if my hand is the table, and the amount that I like push it out kind of, or like do this, changes the angle that the lens is pointing at. So if I want it like pointing higher up, then I like put this out more, if that makes sense, sort of. But yeah, that's definitely been a random thing that I never thought of before buying the camera, but definitely found that really useful. So I do love that the screen not only goes up and down for vlogging, but also has that, you know, little added feature. I don't know if that's why it does that, but that's how I found it useful, and I've actually seen other YouTubers do that with it, so I don't think I'm the only one. I also love that this camera does picture and video, which I'm sure most cameras do nowadays, unless you're buying like an actual video camera, but that's super important to me because sometimes I just want to take a quick photo, and I can take like a screenshot from a video later, but sometimes it's nice to be able to just take a photo instead of pulling out my phone. I already have this camera out, and then I don't need to worry about bringing my DSLR. The quality of the picture is not as good as my DSLR, which is to be expected, but I definitely like that it has that option, but I think most cameras do nowadays. So the other thing that's super important to me about this camera is that it has the same memory card as my other camera, so I didn't need to buy a new one. It just uses a regular SD card, which I think a lot of cameras do these days. I think that's pretty, like, I don't know, pretty normal memory card to use these days, but that was definitely something super important to me because I already had a couple memory cards from my other camera, and so I can swap them out if need be, and I can, you know, use them interchangeably, which is definitely something important to me. So the only really dislike that I have about this camera to talk about is that the battery life doesn't seem to be very long. I don't know if I'm just used to a battery life of a camera of a DSLR, if they're different, because that battery is bigger, or I don't know if my particular DSLR just has a really good battery or what, but this battery doesn't seem to last very long. Maybe it's because I'm always using it for video and not pictures, but even when I was using my DSLR that I'm filming on now, even when I was using that for vlogging, I feel like the battery lasted longer than this one does. Like I have to charge it every single time I use it, and sometimes even if I'm vlogging for an entire day, I have to like charge it in that, like in between during the day when I'm not recording. I have to take a break and charge the battery. That was a very wordy thing to say, wordy answer. Anyways, I just feel like the battery life isn't that good, but maybe I got a lemon, maybe I got a bad battery, but I'm definitely going to be looking into getting some, ordering some extra batteries off Amazon. I've heard some really good things about the like off-brand, I don't know what brand they are, but like the not Canon brand. I think you can get like 2 for less than $50 or something like that on Amazon, whereas the Canon ones are like $60 I think for one battery, something like that. Don't quote me on those prices, but I'm definitely going to be looking into getting a couple of those because it is definitely important. I would say if you get this camera, you need to have an extra battery or two if you're going to be using it for vlogging. If you're just going to be using it for like regular picture taking, you probably only just need the one battery it comes with, but that's probably my only dislike about this camera, is that the battery life isn't super awesome. But I still think that's pretty good if you to only have one dislike about a camera or any product really. So I'm going to jump into the close-up view so I can show you some of the little buttons and features and all those kinds of things. Alright, so here is the camera up close. Just to turn it on is a button right here. So there's the lens. So it says right here, the PowerShot G7X Mark II. This is the zoom. So there's the dial right here that turns so that you can change here your mode. They're pretty self-explanatory, I think. If you've ever used a camera, at least, there's the, if this camera will focus, the video mode and all that. On the back here, so I'll talk a little bit about the screen. So it comes up so that when you're using the camera like this, I'll turn it on so you can see the camera that I'm using right now to record on, and so obviously that would be your face if you were vlogging. And then, so this I think I talked about before, it comes out like this actually. So this is what I was meaning, the angle that you kind of have this, you can change the angle of your lens. So you can change the angle of whatever you want to be recording. If you wanted it to be flat, you could just go like this and it would just be flat, whereas if you wanted it pointing up more so, there's my little Christmas tree, you can change the angle at which it's leaning. So then on the back here, there's just the pretty usual options. This red button here is to start recording. This is like a function button, but it also, you see a little trash can there, it works as the trash can option. Here's the macro, info, flash on and off, and like obvious circle button, and these are also used as like arrows to flip through the menu. Here's a menu button, and this is a playback button, so if you want to see your photos. So I'm just going to click the menu button here. So there is a ton of options, movie size there. And then you just flip through them and you can see it goes, there's numbers, so, and it is touchscreen, I don't believe I mentioned that before. Image quality, you can change RAW, you can change the type, you just press menu to go back, over Face ID settings, there's also digital zoom, flash settings, red eye, self timer, movie recording, and then it skips over to the next type of menu. So you can create your folders monthly or daily. I tried daily and I actually found it kind of annoying. Continuous, format, video, system, over, so the brightness of the screen, time zone, the current date, the language, so there's actually quite a few. It goes down even more. Make sure it stays on English. Mute, the volume of different sounds. And then over to my menu settings. And that is it. And then here we press this. Grace is using my camera, so there's just some random pictures that don't make sense, and you can swipe through them this way. Another thing you can do is, if at the top here, if you push the zoom over, then it changes, it's this way actually. There. So if you push it this way, you can view your pictures either just the one, like one photo at a time, or you can see them all like this, and you can swipe through. I thought you could swipe through. You can, you know, click like this. Oh, it's this way. You can scroll through your pictures that way as well. So now again, if I click on the playback button and I go to one of my photos and I press this button here beside with the little trash can beside it, it then comes up if you want to cancel or erase. So I'm going to cancel. You can use the touch screen, or you can use the arrows with the center button. Now, something that I've noticed in regards to video mode, it does not necessarily have to be on video here. So your little white line is, this little white line right here is marking what your dial is set at. So you can have it set at the video and press the recording button and it will start recording. There, it shows you there it's recording. And then you just press it again to stop recording. Or you can actually have it set on any other mode. I honestly don't know if it makes a difference to how your video turns out, but see, I've set it to auto now. Oh, if this other camera will focus. And then I can go ahead and start recording again, and it doesn't seem to make much difference. Again, just press that button to turn it off. Then you can have single shooting, continuous shooting. There is quite a few options that I honestly have not played with a whole lot. So on the front here, there's just a few little specs. You can go ahead and read that. It says Canon G7X. It has a hook here for the strap on both sides. It does come with the strap, just one, and you can decide which side you would like to put it on. There's this little like grippy part here. This is a different material. This is a more grippy material. Then up here is a like smooth material. This right here is where the flash pops up. Then around on this side, there's this little, this camera doesn't want to focus, sort of like button, I guess you could call it, and if you push it down, your flash will pop up. I'll do that again. So there is your flash popped up. And you can just push it back down when you're done with it. And there's also a little Wi-Fi symbol here, or word I guess. This does have wireless connectivity, but I have not personally used it, so I cannot give you an opinion on that. As far as the back, I think I've talked about everything. And then on this side, this is the button that you use for the wireless connectivity. I'll focus on there. Just a little Wi-Fi symbol. And again, I haven't used that, so I cannot comment on that. There's also right here little connectors. I believe one is HDMI and the other is just a mini USB. There's those. So I believe you could use these to transfer files onto the computer, but that's not how I do it, so I have not tried those. And then on the back, one little thing I didn't talk about is this little finger grip, again with the same grippy material that's on this front part here. So then on the bottom, there is this little tripod circle thing, whatever you want to call that. And then to open here, this is where your battery and memory card are stored. You just slide this over and let go and it pops open. So then here is your battery. So you just push this little orangish red doohickey over and your battery pops out. And this is what it looks like. There's the battery, and then the memory card is right here. It's kind of hard to see because it's so dark, but you just push on it and it pops out, and then you pull it out. So this is the memory card that I use. You can use any SD card. It does not come with a memory card, not that most cameras do, but just thought I would mention that. But it does come with the battery. And like I said before, I definitely suggest getting a couple backup batteries. It's definitely, if you're going to be using this as a vlogging camera, a good add-on. So then to put these back in, you just, this is, let's see, you want the like metal bit facing towards the back of the camera, and so then you just slide it in. Let's see if I can show you that gray part there. So you can kind of see that little symbol there with the arrow down is showing you where and which way to put your SD card in. So you just put it in like so, and push it down till it clicks. And then with the camera, or sorry, with the battery, you want these little metal bits to be facing, it's kind of hard to explain this way. If you look inside the camera, let's see, it's hard to tell like this, but there is, you can definitely see a spring over on this side, and then yeah, there are those 3 little dots, or 4, I guess there's 4. They want to match up with your 4 little connector bits there. So you just kind of, what I do, I push this little doohickey over with the edge of, let's do it this way, with the edge of the battery, just sort of push it over and pop it in till it clicks, and that is back on. And then with this, you just push it down, and then you want to slide that over till it clicks and it's locked in. So I think I've covered just about everything about this camera. Obviously, if you want to know any of the little detailed specs of the megapixels and, you know, all those kind of things, you can very easily Google it. I will list them down below. So yeah, I think I've covered just about everything to do with this camera. I really do like it. It's a really good little camera. It obviously is not as good quality as a DSLR, but for the purpose it is way better, because I'm actually recording on the DSLR right now and it doesn't have the greatest autofocus, and you know, it's just not made really for recording. But this one is, I would say, definitely has a better autofocus than the one I'm currently using. And yeah, I do really like it a lot, and it was worth the money to me. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below, and hopefully if I don't know the answer, someone else will be able to comment and know the answer. And as far as like all the specs, the megapixels and all those kind of things, I will leave them down below, but you could definitely Google that very easily. There's a lot of information out there about this camera. And you can change, so this little thing at the bottom I found quite helpful. When it's red, it means that it's not quite level. So right there is completely straight and flat. I found that quite helpful when putting the camera on a tripod, like recording a sit-down video or something, and I want it to be straight. So that is a cool feature. So that you just press this info button right here, and it will change, so you can have a blank screen, or the little info, or again with that thing at the bottom with the cross lines. My preferred is this. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, definitely give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below. If you're thinking about getting this camera, let me know, or if you already have it, definitely let me know if there's anything I missed talking about, or if there's any tips and tricks you have for using it, and let me know how your battery is. Maybe I just got like a lemon battery, like a faulty one or whatever. But thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye!